They plunged today. The Dow alone took a huge dip, down about 450 points. You know what's interesting about this? What's interesting is that most of the experts on Wall Street are saying the cause for this drop is the coronavirus, which does seem to be.
The coronavirus are turning Chicago's Chinatown into a ghost town.
The silence says it all.
Everybody is scared.
At the empty Phoenix restaurant, a Chinatown staple of more than 30 years that's typically serving up small plates to packed tables right now.
Is it like not enough for cover like everything?
Longtime manager Fai Liang says fears about the coronavirus and the 2 confirmed cases in Chicago now recovered are to blame.
At Washington's National Institutes of Health, America's top virus control official, Dr. Anthony Fauci, says the coronavirus is spreading and America may need to take drastic steps.
We're dealing with clearly an emerging infectious disease that has now reached outbreak proportions and likely pandemic proportions.
It spreads from contact, human contact.
Person to
right?
person, generally droplets, respiratory droplets. People sneeze and cough into their hands. They shake hands with somebody. They open up a doorknob. Somebody else comes 5 minutes later.
What should the public know?
You should be careful washing your hands as often as you possibly can. You know, stay out of crowded places where people are coughing and sneezing.
What about sporting events? What about concerts?
See, we're not ready for it right now, but we need to be at least thinking about the possibility if we get a major outbreak of this coronavirus in this country. That would mean perhaps closing schools temporarily, getting people to do more teleworking, canceling events where there is a lot of crowds in confined places, canceling unnecessary travel so that you're not on an airplane for 5 hours with a bunch of people who might be infected. That's what's called mitigation and social distancing.
How do we know, or how will you and other experts know when that point has come?
When that point will come when you see multiple generations of transmission in a particular community where you don't know where the ultimate source is.
That would be a huge step. It would have enormous economic,
Yes,
societal,
it would.
psychological implications.
It would, but it would be temporary, but it would be necessary.
And that would involve closing down cities?
No, I don't think you're going to go.
Like what China's done? It's a big outbreak in Manhattan. Will you seal the bridges?
I doubt very seriously if we ever would come to that or could come to that in the United States.
Who makes that call?
The local health authorities. It's not a federal call. They often may come to federal authorities like the CDC and ask advice, but the decision is local.
Try and describe to us, let's start with this. So what exactly happened in the markets today? What was down, what was up?
Well, Rick, a big question in the mind of investors has been if and when the coronavirus was going to infect the stock market, and we're seeing it has affected the stock market. You know, it's really reacting, and stocks opened the lowest that they have since October of last year. And here's a quick breakdown of the stock market reaction. The Dow is down 1.8%, while the S&P 500 slid 1.3%, and the Nasdaq tumbled 1.5%. Now, this outbreak also comes as the market has been really climbing, mainly by large technology stocks. So anytime we see the market being extremely bullish for an excessive amount of time, that also leads to market weakness. So some analysts are saying, you know, we're contributing this to the coronavirus. It might not be. And some are saying, no, this is the actual outcome of the coronavirus.
I get it. They're saying if it wasn't this, something else would have triggered it.
Exactly, exactly. Now here's a quick guide that shows how the market has reacted to some major epidemics.
So I think the question is, for example, help us understand then, what does the coronavirus have to do with the market? Why would the coronavirus affect any particular industry or business?
Right. Well, think about it this way, right? China, where the coronavirus is coming from, has a population of 1.3 billion people. So in order for the virus not to spread, as of last Friday, China has shut down part of the Great Wall, as well as 16 cities. 16 cities in China are actually pretty much shut down. So they're limiting the movement of some 46 million people. people. Now, when you limit the movement of about almost 50 million people, think of tourism, right? We're talking about travel, leisure, retail, gambling. Now, these are all being hit by the crisis because a key factor in the market is psychological. So a lot of people are thinking this could become an epidemic and this could really spread, and which is why it's impacting the market. And
yeah, that makes sense, right?
Exactly.
I mean, if people don't travel, then nobody's staying in hotels,
yes.
Nobody's flying.
Right.
So airline
is down, exactly. Like Trip.com is down 10%.
Wow.
Expedia is down 3%. United Airlines is down. Delta is down. So this has a lot to do with travel anxiety.
Remote brain surgery in China. The patient was in a Beijing hospital, the neurosurgeon 3,000 kilometers away in the southern island province of Hainan. The live images and medical data were transmitted by an ultra-fast 5G wireless network with video conferencing and other technology from Huawei. This is just the latest example of the game-changing use of new super-fast 5G networks. Europe also wants to use the technology, but is facing a problem. Huawei is one of the main producers of 5G hardware, but the company is said to be too close to the Chinese government. Apart from unconfirmed allegations of espionage, there are concerns that Huawei technology could pose a security risk if it were used in sensitive infrastructure in Europe. We have to recognize that China is also pursuing its strategic interests through economic policy. So we mustn't be naive when it comes to important infrastructure projects like the awarding of 5G licenses. Complicating the move to next-generation mobile standards is pressure from the US not to use Huawei hardware. China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi, meeting in Brussels with EU counterparts, called security warnings groundless and politically motivated and suggested they were designed to discredit Huawei. Up to now, wireless network operators in the EU could decide themselves whose technology they use. But in some countries in the bloc, the debate is growing about how to restrict the use of equipment from non-European companies that could pose a risk to critical infrastructure, and that could affect Huawei.
Many applications make use of technologies that go beyond the main working of the app itself. Artificial intelligence observes our behavior and enriches our day-to-day life. If you want to understand and develop these techniques, our program, Cognitive Science and Artificial Intelligence, offers you plenty of possibilities. You study the functions of the human brain. How do we learn a language? How do we remember? How does our brain respond to virtual and augmented reality? And how do we reason? You study this in courses such as Language, Cognition and Computation and Human-Computer Interaction. In our skills courses like Programming and Data Visualization, you learn how to use this knowledge to create technological features that are beneficial to our society, like virtual reality settings that help doctors train for surgeries and emergencies, or serious games that help people dealing with anxieties. CSAI is heavily built on the DAF Technology Lab, a high-tech research lab at Tilburg University that connects interdisciplinary research and the working field through immersive education.
Immersive education consists of bringing content closer to students. And so rather than experiencing a human brain on a PowerPoint, you actually walk through the human brain and can interact with the human brain in a virtual reality setting.
I believe that this study helps me to provide knowledge to companies so that they can make use of artificial intelligence in a responsible way so that they can enhance the society.
There's so many breakthroughs happening in the cognitive sciences that it's really no wonder that these fields are growing so rapidly.
The walkways to the shopping malls and the office buildings are this way, empty. Normally this pathway is full of people heading to the office. As I mentioned, it's just after 9 o'clock. And as you can see, it's pretty a deserted city. This on my left is the Silk Market, where a lot of foreigners come and do their shopping. It's also been closed. Nobody can enter. I'm now going to the Yonganli station. one single person getting off the train, nobody getting on. Normally, this platform is packed with people and hundreds and hundreds of people on the train.
What on earth is that? That's what Tommy Hortman asked after he found this creepy, crawly thing inside his vehicle. At first, he thought it was a leaf.
I was about to brush it, roll down the window and brush it out, and all of a sudden it started moving. And at that point, I was looking for exits and just wanted to burn the truck down.
I mean, I don't blame you, man, because it looks like it's from another planet.
It does. That was my first thought, is if I burn this whole truck down, I'm saving humanity. But it almost looked like a lobster dressed as a spider for Halloween. It looked like it had hairy spider legs on it and a little lobster tail, and it was kind of lumbering along.
Tommy posted the video online looking for answers. They have finally landed. Get rid of that alien, dude. It will kill us all. So what is that strange thing? We did a little research and determined it's a hag moth caterpillar, and it's generally harmless unless you touch it and have an allergic reaction.
I rolled down the window, got a napkin, and just scooched it out into the parking lot.
How fast did you drive out of there?
Pretty fast.